to start the PEG Access Advisory Committee meeting. I'm Carlin Reed. I'm the chair for the committee. I'm going to do very quickly today. This is being recorded. It is Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2023. Congratulations. We get 6 more weeks of winter. Anyway, let's do a quick roll call of the committee members. Carlin Reed's here. Vince Carlson. Here. And Cynthia Rainey. Present. Okay, Corey Atkins is not here at the moment. She may be joining us later. Also present in the room, just to note, we have Terry Ackerman, the Select Board Liaison, Jason Bulger, the Chief Technology Officer. Got it right this time. Donna McIntosh, our Communications Director. Sue Buskey, our consultant from Buskey Group of California, and Mark Polly of MMN. And online, I'm seeing Christina Kendricks. And I think Nancy Pierce is somewhere in there as well. So we've got a.
I'm here. I'm here. It's not showing.
Appreciate that. So we've got a pretty good group. Let's go ahead and get started. We've done the roll call. We have a forum and it's being recorded. I'm going to turn this over now. Before we do that, to briefly run through the agenda. We're going to first talk about the Comcast franchise renewal update. Then we're going to get a brief update on the MMN and broadband from Jason and Mark. We'll confer on the meetings, and I think I have an error in the agenda. We're going to be meeting March 2nd, not March 3rd. I want to talk about that. The next couple of meetings. I didn't get any minutes for us to be reviewing, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. We'll do that at the next meeting. I won't have any chair updates, and we'll take liaison and public comments and then adjourn. So we'll be adjourned by 5 o'clock at the latest. Okay, let's turn over to our consultant, Sue Buskey from Buskey Group of California. Welcome to Concord once again.
Yes, I like to come Concord. I want to go shopping down there. I found a shop I like. Okay, I keep driving by it whenever I come to town.
Great.
But I do enjoy the coffee too.
Okay, good.
So today what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through. I want you, if you have it available, to pull up the work plan. Okay. I want to touch bases on that, where we're at. Carlin has sent out a few things we're going to be referring to back and forth. Okay. She and I were able to have a chat a little bit about some timing of some things and we want to make sure that they work for you all. Okay. So as you look at the work plan, kind of there's sort of 2 pieces of what Buskey Group is going to be doing. One has to do strictly with the sort of public input part. And that is the community focus group meetings and also the online survey. Carlin and I had a great conversation a week or 2 ago, and in draft press release that she has put together, we added some Zoom coffees as another way of our participation, but they would happen after the focus groups. So the sort of timing, and I'm going to add those to the work plan now that once we have a chance to talk about it, make sure everybody's okay with it, then I'll tweak the work plan to reflect that. Okay. So the focus groups, as you may have noticed in the draft press release that Carlin has put together based on our conversation, we've gotten them times, dates, and locations. I want to let you, we need to talk about that, make sure we're okay with all of that.
You want us to talk about that then or after your presentation?
Well, it sort of weaves in. How would you like to do
Let's
that?
do it right now.
Yeah.
Just to let the committee know, because this is stuff I've done and you need to make sure that I'm doing it okay. I tentatively scheduled focus groups for May 10th and 11th. It's on the press release. And in 3 different locations. If you take a look at the press release, Wednesday, May 10th from 2:30 to 4 o'clock in the Goodwin Memorial Room at the Concord Main Branch Library. That's already tentatively reserved at this point. On 129 Main Street. The second one is Thursday, May 11th, 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon here in the Select Board Room. And the third one is Thursday, May 11th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the Harvey Wheeler Community Center. Again, all 3 locations are tentatively reserved at this time. Now, committee members, the idea was to have 3 focus groups trying to verify date, times, and locations.
What?
Put your headphones.
I can't find my headphones.
Oh, well,
Oh, they're there. They're back there. Here we go.
Okay, Nancy, you've got to put yourself on mute, please.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm just yabbering. So with committee members, with those 3 locations and times, do you have any questions or concerns about this? Do you want to do something different? I'd like to get your approval on these dates and times now before we move forward with everything else. I'm gonna talk to Vince first and then Cynthia. Vince, what do you think?
Would find to me, what is the location and the, how do you live?
In the Harvey Wheeler, if I have reserved right now, the main auditorium, the big room. But I'm not sure that we're going to need the entire big room. It might be in the clock tower room, which is smaller. The clock tower room is about the same size as the select board room. I don't know, and I don't know if Sue's actually seen that.
I have not seen that.
I've not seen that.
Yeah.
So I may be able to shift it to the clock tower rather than the huge auditorium that we have.
We can see about what? 16, 18 people in this room?
Oh, no, more like 30.
Okay,
The clock tower room has got many more seats than this, because it's not set up like this.
yeah,
And it has some pillars too that block the land.
sounds to me like the clock tower room would be better. I don't think we need a huge auditorium.
And
Yes,
you're gonna be breaking.
no, it'll just be one, okay, so, and plus we need to brainstorm on the walls. So,
So it sounds like I should change the reservation for the auditorium, or main auditorium to the clock tower room. I'm happy with that. What do you think, Vince?
There's seating that we need to get set up in the clock tower room, usually that seating is all moved into. a
Okay,
clock.
come on now, let's see.
Maybe an issue with the assisted listening devices there. So, it's something that actually Bob Andrews is trying to test out in various places, and that may be good occasion to do this. We have an assisted listening hearing group in town.
mhm.
He's very proactive about what he's doing with it.
Mhm.
So, he's kind of systematically trying to test all the locations. It would be a good occasion to do that, though, so I would say either location.
Well, let me talk to my audio experts here, Mark and Jason. Do you think we can do something to try and make sure that the assisted listening devices will work in the clock tower room?
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake. Piece of cake. I like these. Okay. All right. So what I'll do is I'll change the reservation unless unless Cynthia says something different. I'll change the auditorium. And auditorium to the clock tower.
Back to the first one, Wednesdays for K8 is typically early release.
Wednesday for K8 is typically early release. What does that mean as far as timing?
That means they'll be out.
Okay.
Only the high school students, teachers would be not able to participate until after.
Okay.
But
So for the first one, this is at the Goodwin Memorial Library. We were looking for educators, youth, sports, community, arts, historic, and cultural heritage interests like that.
That's the best day of the week, that people, that kind of slot.
Okay, so that's okay.
It's not terrible.
Good,
Okay.
not terrible. We're going to not terrible.
Yeah.
We like not terrible. Okay, we're gonna put this down here. I'm gonna change this auditorium. Clock tower, and I'll talk to Lauren about that. No, it's not Lauren. There's no, yeah, Marie is the one. Okay, so
And are you looking for, paid access board members to come to these focus groups?
they could come to any one of them. The concept is that we organize the focus groups by, anybody can come to anyone, but we also put kind of constituencies on them just because that way people, if they want to come and can come to the one for arts, then they know that's the arts one, but the content of each of them will be the same. The questions that are brainstormed will all be the same. So there's a constant and consistent methodology across the board. So that, I don't know if that answers your question.
The question is, whether you guys want to structure, so like one board member is showing up at each one of these. Or whether we have a good idea.
Good idea.
I can show up at each one of these unless somebody else wants to take my place. I don't know, Cynthia, Vince, do you have any preferences or?
I was gonna ask, I would participate in the first one and the third one, and I prefer not to participate in the 10:30 to 12.
Gosh.
Not because of the constituents, it has to be another.
Terry, let me ask you this, from an open meeting law perspective, how many people on our committee can appear and actually talk without having to make it an official?
Well, you have to post it if you're worried about that. But, how many people are on this committee?
Five. But there are 5 slots, we have only 4 people.
Okay, well, if you have more than 2, You should post,
Okay, so if we have two at the most at each one of these meetings,
right, well, posting is good anyway, it's good to publicity.
okay, I like the listening. You said the magic word, posting. All right, I'll post all three of them. That way anybody who shows up can.
Right, I mean, they didn't do meetings too.
Yep.
And are these 3 live meetings, are they hybrid or live?
My plan for the three meetings, they are in person only. That
Right.
that was one of the preferences
Right.
you had for your presentation.
Right.
So
Right, and then then the coffees would be Zoom,
they were using after.
Okay,
so we kind of covered.
So
these.
the times and locations for the three in persons, are committee members, you okay with that?
Yeah. Yes.
Cynthia's good, Vince,
Yeah, I'm available, that's easy.
but you're okay with us having it that time? All right, good. So those will be the three times and dates we have. Wednesday, May 10th, and then 2 on Thursday, one at the select board room, one at the clock tower room. If there's any problems with meeting the clock tower, be sure that you folks know, but otherwise that'd be the plan. Okay.
There may be, if it is possibly inclement weather,
Mhm.
I think there may be some advantages in having hybrid.
That's why we have the Zoom components and ability in case something else happens.
Exactly.
Something that David Allen had mentioned too, it's about general ability of
Mhm.
guys that are 80+ or people that are 80+. basically.
Very good. Okay, go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, sorry, it just seemed logical to flow right into that, and trying to get that settled in. So if you actually look at the work plan, we were to try to finalize the dates, consistency, times, and locations of the focus groups by February 1. Check the box. It's done, okay?
Okay.
The next piece, and so basically what will be occurring from a public input process again is the focus groups and those dates in May, the Zoom coffees that are listed in that press release, and the online survey. Okay, 3 different components, 3 different ways
I'm
to
sorry,
gather.
you said it again, Sue?
So we've got the focus groups
Focus
on
groups.
May 10th and 11th.
Okay.
We've got the Zoom coffees. They'll be scheduled on May 17th, and this is just tentative, and May 31st, so they're after the focus groups. Why do we schedule them that way? Because we don't want to negatively impact the participation in the in-person meeting. So you do that first. You announce right at that time, we're also going to do the Zoom things. And also, and the online survey is open from the first day of the focus groups, okay, which is May 10th. And we're going to keep the online survey open until June 9th. So one month. So you see how things kind of just step by step move out. Okay. If you look at the work plan, then items number 9 and which is prepare and print focus group invitations, email flyers, email blasts, etc. So in kind of doing some preliminary discussion today, and previously we thought, okay, given everything that's going on, and also given the fact that the item 10 says you launch the press releases and everything on around the beginning of April, okay? The idea is to get all the materials prepared in advance so that you can start on April 2nd or whatever. And then you put out a postcard, and one of the things that we've talked about, and I've provided examples, okay, of is the different kinds of materials. And we found it works.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay,
This is another important date as far as preparing the materials. My preference is that we prepare the materials starting in March, have everything ready to go so that on April 3rd, we start the press. We start the release of sending out the postcards, sending out a notice to the bridge, sending out email blasts, and really do the press part in starting April 3rd, which is a Monday, and then prep everything up. I'll prep all the materials up until that time. From the committee members, any concerns about that? Okay, go ahead. You can take a sip of.
no. I mean, I don't want to step on what you were going to do, but it sort of fits into the work plan. So I figured we just walk right into it. Okay. So I've provided to Carlin, and she's distributed to you all some examples of the kinds of materials that have been created by other locations. They were emailed to you. Okay. And so there will be press release that there ideally, press release, ideally a postcard, and then a series of e-blasts. Our experience is you have to hit people about 7 times before you get them to come to a meeting, okay? We're chatting about that earlier. I provided, this is, I'll pass this around. This is the example. This is probably a slightly over the top version of the postcard, okay? But I thought it was a good example because it's very clever. It's very style book oriented, okay? There's a brand that's been created with the magnifying glass, the focus groups, because it's clever. Okay, I'll pass this around so you can just see. That's just an example. That comes from St. Louis Park, Minnesota, which is a smallish community suburb of this Twin City, Minneapolis, St. Paul. But it was one I had managed to get a couple of extra copies of when we were working with them. So I just throw that around. You can use just a standard postcard size. But the idea is, as part of the outreach, we have found having something come to people in the mail is helpful. Relying strictly on e-blasts is not a great idea. You got to hit them with different media at different times, okay, in order to get their
I'm gonna
attention.
stop here. John, I want to take a few moments, if you can, give us some ideas that you may have about basically whether you agree with this approach, whether you have concerns about it, about how to get information out, because I know the town sometimes does all the things that she's just mentioned. How do you feel about this?
I think you've laid out a really well thought out plan there,
Okay.
and we can also, we can augment it with, some social media.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and that kind of in time with what you're saying as well.
Good.
So do we have a budget for postcards? Because the other ones are relatively cheap, but the postcard might be expensive.
Well, let's talk to the budget man.
I was looking at the budget today. I requested clarification on that because I saw encumbrances that were. So I will know more soon about what the budget is. I know I've seen a lot of invoices come in already for the bus review, and it's already filled up the line item that it's going into. So I think that I've investigated that.
Okay, perhaps you and I can talk about what we think it's gonna cost, and Dawn, if you have some estimates on what you, in your experience, on how much it costs to do some of these things. The press release to the bridge, probably not a whole lot of money, but doing the postcards with postage, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly how much that would cost.
Well, when I was involved before, it was thousands of dollars.
Right.
Thousands.
Yeah, I
think
That's my guess. It's
Yeah,
not gonna be cheap.
very minimal. So we might have a budget, I don't know.
But it's the printing.
The printing.
This is whole forwarding thing.
Yes.
But that's,
It's only when we send out like the short time meeting warrant, it's cheap. It's under $5,000.
Yeah, but-
and this is a postcard, so it's not.
Okay. I'm just gonna go.
Jason, is this something that you and Don can talk about, or are you not involved at all? You don't know what we want, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we sort of talked about the different modes of of alerting people to the meetings. We have to hit them multiple times, different tools to do that. Just get a detailing thing. Each of the materials will go out, we'll have a request for an RSVP. The RSVP comes back to our firm. We monitor and track all the RSVPs, okay? We will, as RSVPs come in, we will give a report probably once a week about who's RSVP'd for each meeting. We will, if it's typical, we'll find some people RSVP for all of them, okay? And some, but the biggest thing is getting enough people to RSVP for the meetings. Then as we get closer to the date, we will send more than out reports more than once a week. So my partner Randy Gonzalez is in charge of all of that piece of things. You'll be hearing from him. He'll be the one who sends out the RSVP and monitoring. So that's how that works. The RSVPs are on us, they're not on the city. We take care of it all. And what happens also then is that when it comes time for the focus group meetings, because we take care of all the RSVPs, we create the sign-in sheets. Has a person's name, checkbox, when they come in the door, we check it, and then there'll be blank spots for people to write in the names. Real important to track who comes, okay, because that becomes part of the documentation that goes into the appendices of the needs assessment report. In some communities, they also offer incentives for people to come to the meetings.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We're gonna offer them.
And it's varied a lot from, I suggest that it's a very good idea. Some places have given, one place we're doing something right now, they have a downtown association and they have downtown bucks, okay? So it's like 50 downtown bucks from the downtown association. Sometimes it's a Target gift card for $10. I mean, it varies a lot. One community couldn't do anything like that, but they had a very, very successful Parks and Recreation department. Well, this is Minnesota with a great hockey rink. So you got so many couple $100 worth of credit to do all the things that you could with your kids, you could do at the Parks and Recreation
Okay,
department.
let me just talk to you, this is another budget expense. And I don't know if it's even allowed by the town to do this sort of thing in the first place, regardless of the cost. Jason, what do you
Well,
think?
in the past that I've done raffles instead of like one per person, where there'll be one person will be randomly selected, so like that's selling cost. We can get maybe some businesses to donate this, so that it's not an expense. And maybe there are people who are willing to make that happen, so that it's not a town expense, but yeah, I think that sounds definitely possible. One per person many times might be trickier, they know if it was like $10 per times. That would be a hard to predict expense, and also, you know, like you said, we have to check the financial viability of that and the reality of that.
In my personal feelings, I'm feeling kind of queasy about having any kind of incentives at all. I figure we're gonna do this, we're gonna have some food, they can come and eat for free. And we're gonna have entertainment.
Yes.
We could do that sort of thing, within reason, of course. So I'm not so sure that the incentives will be needed on top of that. However, if you folks think, if the committee thinks, I know Sue's making a recommendation on it. How do you feel about having an additional incentive besides the meetings with the entertainment and such?
I think the pitfalls of the incentive outweigh the value.
What do you think? Pitfalls and-
So if we got targeted town entities to donate some kind of advertising to them. You know, and then it sort of gets into the, like, do we want to go down that road? I definitely would have to be local, some kind of a local punch card thing, we're not really advertising for the business like they do, you know, with the visitors.
The Chamber of Commerce does something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The Chamber of Commerce.
So I think if we did a big corporation, that would make bad taste in people's mouth as we're trying to steer people to downtown Concord.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So if I'm okay with doing a local incentive raffle, kind of random thing that isn't targeted to every attendee.
Yeah, I want to hear from Vince, then I want to hear from Terry. Go ahead, Vince.
Actually, I'd like to ask Sue what she thinks is most effective. You know, is it something that's related to the profile of the town specifically, or, you know, in your experience with many towns, what works best?
I think what works, I mean, I have to say, it varies a lot by community. Okay. If I'm working but I would say in a community like Concord, based on our experience, it's gotta be something local. Okay, and it's a drawing, anybody who comes and actually participates. They get their name in the bowl of, and at the end of the meeting, we drop it out and it's something. I don't think it has to be extreme or huge. It's more. We thank you. It's more of respect for the fact that people came and spent their time in the meeting. And that if you came and spent your time at the meeting, thank you very much. You keep your name, and you know, in some places it's from a grocery store. It's from a local it's a gift card from a local grocery store. It's that kind of thing. So that's what I've seen in the community sites will work well.
If there's a budget dollar amount. If we're. Smaller. Okay.
Yeah, it just took a. Thank you.
If we thought about taking it from PEG funds to pay for this. And we estimate roughly 20 people at each program. 20, 40, 60.
No, I'm talking about 3 items, one for each.
Yeah, so you're talking about not an individual response, but one.
But one, there's a drawing at the end, and that's
So
what.
you're around, right? Jason, how do you feel about that? You're the budget guy.
I can make something happen that, impact the town budget.
Well, none of this impacted the budget, it's the pay budget.
No, I can.
Town
Well,
pay.
I'm talking about there's also procurement laws that will affect.
No, I think the Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Vitality Committee would probably come up with
Yeah.
a way that businesses would donate to this, but advertising them, and it's local, and
Yeah.
I don't,
We have swag that, BB and the rec center have to do that.
yeah.
Structures for this or that.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like having one raffle item at each location is acceptable to me. Good. Yes, good.
Sounds great.
Okay, good. Terry, can I ask you to help me with making that arrangement? I don't know how to ask the business community to donate stuff for focus groups, that sort of thing.
Okay,
If there's something that you can help me with, I'd really appreciate help.
okay.
That would be really nice. Of course.
But we can help too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a sweatshirt.
He wants a switch back.
I want a sweatshirt idea or a t-shirt.
Basket.
What?
Right.
You guys run it, you know,
Okay,
need
No, I
a
think
contact.
we'll be able to- I think we do.
that's it, Donna and Jason, thank you very much.
Note, please, that it would be good idea that on the promotion materials that are created, it's mentioned that if you participate,
Yeah.
you're gonna be in a drawing for
I mean,
whatever.
Oh, gee, that's a hard way to look at. You're pictured by the bear. Okay, let's stop you there. Go ahead.
Okay. No, and I am taking a little time here, but I think we're clicking through a number of things and it's kind of great to get figured out now. So that because taking the time, giving adequate time then to put this stuff together, to think about it, to do the outreach, etc. So I think then we're up to the one thing that I'm gonna zip back to item 6 just for a moment, okay, because I'm really following the work plan here. And that was having to do with identifying mailing lists, okay? Either email or US Postal Service to be used when the promotional materials are being distributed, okay? I don't know what kind of mailing lists are already pulled that the city already has access to, okay? This would be email addresses and it would be and physical addresses for sending a postcard. But that's something that will have to be identified.
So, I mean, we send so we can easily send something to all, but Concord, and we have that process.
That's okay.
And then we have our user notices, we
Yeah.
have like 1,600 or so people who registered with the notices on the website. Are there other email address lists that you know of?
I'm not aware of it. Okay, what was the first one you said?
Well, when we send out the mailings for the town meeting and everything, so we have a process for sending something to every resident.
Oh,
Like the best.
Yeah, voicemail, right, but by the email, you know, that's the notice, yeah.
And I've got access to a couple other lists that I personally have developed. I suspect Cynthia may have a couple lists that she's personally developed as well. Do you think we can get the school system to help with us?
Oh, yeah.
Give me the information. If I come in and say, okay, here's what's going on, or we'll give you the information, we'll.
Yes, there's a school committee subscriber list and there's those all students.
Okay, so school committee subscriber list, we've got the town subscriber list,
And then,
and a personal email list that us committee members may have. To see, to spread the word about it.
request Dr. Hunter at some prime time, in social media,
Okay,
encourage people.
good. Good.
Right, is it something you?
Retweet or whatever.
Certainly, I mean,
Yeah.
we could either be part of the development of that. That graphic, or we'll work with you, just like we would do with the other stuff, so, yeah.
Do you have, little commercials on before the programming? That you used to have on MMN, it used to be like. You know.
Yeah, there's a bulletin board that has both audio, well, it has videos, small little videos and stills and kind of stuff, so, of course, yes, yep.
Item 11 on the work plan. Thank you.
Johnny, can we develop some like cool little branded Twitter
Right.
thing that has the dates or whatever.
Twitter and,
You know, that's friends. Well, just say, you know, that's something, yeah.
So one of the things I want to point out as we talk about this, once the needs assessment report is together, okay, and there's been a lot, and ideally a lot of information gathered, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to point out that that information can be used for other things, but grant applications, building collaborations around something. You'll have information off the online side, people are interested in this or people are interested in that. So I always remind people, and I'm a little ahead of the game here in telling you this, but it's really worth the effort to be thorough about this, because once you have this body of information, you can use it for a number of things, okay, that will be very positive for the town. And so, and once you see the report, I think and the appendices of the report, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. So I just wanted to bring that up to kind of keep it in mind that at the end of the day, I think you'll find the information in the assessment report, obviously done for the renewal process, but also having other applications as well. So I'm kind of going down the stuff on the work plan.
Before we move on, there is one more mailing list that I told them, it's a COA newsletter.
Yeah.
Goes out monthly, and it's, I think it's 1,400 people on the mailing list. It's very substantial. So you just have to be sure to get in time to meet their press deadlines.
Yeah, and the February newsletter just came out, so it would be fitting to be, we're trying to push it out April 3rd, so trying to get in the April newsletter. Okay, I'll make it up, talk to Lauren about that. Take that.
And once this stuff gets pushed out, then it would be great. And it's worthwhile to encourage other community groups and organizations to put the information on their websites. Okay, and to use their own in-house organs that they get information out to their members or constituents about. Again, the more the merrier as far as getting putting it in front of the public. It's because it is not the easiest thing in the world to get people to show up for this, because they don't know what it's about. I mean, it just goes, okay, it's cable, okay, bye. You know, kind of one of those deals. And so it's a little different than the animal park, okay, or a petting zoo, or something that deals with kids. Okay, it's just it's a little bit more obtuse, I guess, than something. So I know I may be hitting this issue of hitting people a lot of times with the information, but it's pretty important based on our experience. So we kind of clicked down through. We've hit mailing lists. We've hit timeframes of various meetings and public input processes. The dates and times to get materials ready to go, the distribution schedule. See if I've got anything else on here. We've talked the idea, we talked a bit about budgeting. You guys have gone over that. The other thing that is on the list on your agenda, that is the February 13th select board meeting. And I'm going to swing back at a couple of other things of compliance. Okay. But I just want to hit the select board meeting because I will have a few slides together.
Now, you all remember that she's going to be appearing before the select board on February 13th for about 10 minutes. Okay, good.
Okay. So I'll get some slides together, get them to Carlin, definitely before February 8th. Okay, and I think we were looking at about the total of no more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes for the presentation.
Yeah, you wanna leave time to clip Q&A with those.
Okay.
And Terry, if you think 10 minutes is too long, let me know. But
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
listening.
Yeah,
Or the presentation or the whole discussion.
Well, I don't know how long, I'm estimating to be 5 to 10 minutes of questions. So how much?
no, it might be longer. I think you should talk to Matt. It depends if you and Matt want to, think it's important to take public comment from everybody, or it's just going to be for select board asking questions.
We're going to be doing a lot of public comment later on, as far as getting public input. We can if you want. I don't know.
Right, so yeah, 5 to 10 minutes of presentation, and then 5 to 10 more minutes of Q&A. I'm guessing, but you want to confirm it with Matt.
Okay, we'll do.
It's actually become right up now, it's on.
Yes, it is. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Then I think for purposes of today,
Oh, stop, I have to
Yeah.
make one minute. The February 13th meeting, I'm going to also notice it as a PEG access meeting, so if you want to come,
Okay.
you're welcome to, you're not expected to talk, but you're welcome to come.
We could join you like that as well.
Yeah, that's, it's a virtual thing.
And you're going to announce all of these dates, right?
Yes.
Because that's another advertising, because that's recorded. People, later.
I'll put it on a piece of paper and put it in the packet and then also talk about it. on-
Yeah.
And on that note, when will this information go up on the website in some way, shape or form?
When,
Not that it's getting.
as far as, well, now that we've got the dates, times and locations, well, I've got, let me hear the location. It can go up soon, I think.
Is this a good time to comment something about the press release or one of them?
yeah, I have actually a couple things that we've talked about in the press release already, so it's whatever you do now. Right now? Okay, right now. Why don't you bring your things up and I'll
Well, I
dive.
mean, it's really good, but there was one part that confused me, and it's the way the flow was, and it has to do with the second paragraph. So, well, the first paragraph talks about, you know, what this is all gonna be about, right? And it talks about the focus groups and coffees, and we're also seeking the survey. And now the second paragraph has information and ideas generated from these focus groups. But do you mean from all three of them, the focus groups, coffees and surveys? All of those are gonna help guide the negotiations. It's just doesn't quite flow right.
Well, I'm saying, I'm the default person for typing this up, so if you words with me, I'm happy to do so.
Well, just to add, so in that second paragraph right there,
Yep.
information and ideas generated from these focus groups, coffees, and surveys.
Okay. Got it.
Really, that might flow
Thank
better.
you. Okay.
When Carl and I chatted briefly about this, I would suggest breaking this in at least two different press releases.
Yeah.
Okay? The first one, it deals with focus groups, because I don't want the Zoom coffee information to go out there yet. So, because it'll negatively impact the participation at the focus groups. So we should do one that says, this is what it's about. Here are the focus groups, dates, times and locations, bing, bing, bing. And then another one, okay, that says that launches at the date, probably have the focus groups. Oh, it's other things gonna happen. These Zoom coffees are gonna happen. This online survey is gonna happen. We want you to be involved. That way, then we're sort of, it's more consumable bites, okay, and also it doesn't negatively impact the amount of people who show up for the in-person.
That's better than my comment. That's not bad.
It does make a lot of sense. So I can review this draft press release, and who should I talk to with that? Should that be Donna? Should that be Terry? Who wants to help me with this? Well, what's the next percent? We want to do this. We can work it out. Okay, all right, I'll work with you, Don. Thank you.
And my only other really brief comment is, there's two. When you're doing the focus groups or hearing before the select board or having press release or anything, never use the word city, always use town. People.
I know,
People are weird about it.
It just came from city now.
I did that, my fault.
So I don't care, and I would say 90% of the people don't care, but some people are gonna say, oh. She must be from out of state, doesn't know anything about it, and they just like turn off the whole thing if they hear that.
I try to remind myself of that, but I just was in Worcester, so I had city on the brain, okay? But I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, duh.
Let's do a time check. It's 4:11 right now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So basically, I think for now, we're good, okay, with regard to the focus groups, the timing of things, who's on first with regard to various activities, etc. Now, there's one piece that I think I need to chat a little bit about that I haven't, and that's the compliance review, which is another piece of what we're doing. I'm going to add some things to this work plan to pull in more detail around the compliance review. But let me just fill you in on what we'll be doing. Okay. We will be taking the existing franchise agreement and I will create a table. And that table will basically track the deliverables, the specific deliverables by the cable operator, X amount of dollars and cents for this, X amount of access channels, reporting, et cetera. I'll hit the high points. I'm not gonna get down to the little bitty minutia, okay? I'll create that table. It'll say section citation, information, yes, no, the notes. I will also create a separate document that will be questions driven by that table. That'll come back to the city, a town. To the town, okay? And what I'll say is, okay, we need you guys to fill this out, okay? Now, I can guarantee you there will be things on there that nobody's ever looked at. Okay, and I understand that. So I don't expect that you're gonna have answers to everything, okay? But it's an easy way for us to kick off the compliance review, to make a determination whether the company has actually complied with the terms and conditions of its existing agreement. And I try to keep it, like if I'm going at section 6.15, I'll give you the citation. I won't necessarily put every word in that section in there. It'll be sort of a summary of what the obligation is. If somebody has the time and wants to take the time to go in and look at that specific thing, but it'll be a nutshell of this is exactly what they were supposed to do, or this is when they were supposed to do it. Then when things come, that table comes back to me with the questions answered and the table filled out to the best of the ability to fill it out, then I will then dive in, okay? And I will get on the phone, we'll do Zooms with staff, with whomever committees, staff of the town, whatever, to begin to fill in the blanks, okay? That information then goes into the compliance review section of our report. I'm going to give you an example, and this is not necessary. This is an example of what I've run into in a couple of places, just so you won't be surprised. Okay. In one place I worked, the franchise called for quite a number of locations where the franchise obligated the company to provide a free cable drop into school buildings, a free monthly level subscription at a certain level of tier, the equipment necessary to receive that in that school building, okay, or that city building. In most cases, it's cities and school buildings. I will say, you need to look this up. The dilemma is somebody's going to have to go and make sure that it's actually there and it's functional. Why is this important? It's a deliverable. If it hasn't been delivered, then we need to tell Comcast that it hasn't been delivered and it should have been delivered. And we're going to ask them then to deliver it. And if they don't deliver it, then they will be, hypothetically, the town would notice them and give them an opportunity to cure of this violation of the franchise agreement. Why is that? Why is all of that necessary? Because under the law, if a cable company has not complied with the terms and conditions of the existing franchise, a city may, and not say they have to, deny renewal. Okay. Now, where I'm going with all of this is why it is so important to be precise about what we're doing here. And with that, it's just an example of what might be on that table. So one place I'm working right now, there were 66 locations. Now, I know there are not that many in your franchise, but in this particular city, not town, okay, there are 66 locations where either school buildings or public buildings are supposed to have these drops. I went in for my initial walkthrough in that community, and we started to talk about that with different people within the city and the schools. They go, we've been paying for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the kind of stuff my being meticulous about this will identify. So I will stop there.
Sooner, better than later. To get
Okay.
that compliance table here, so we can start working on it. I know you're
Just real quickly, thank you so much for doing that. It's often not done. And I think it also helps when we come to the negotiations, right? Because they start promising ABC and we say, well, you didn't do it last time, you can negotiate. So thank you so much. This is really excellent.
So question, Sue, have you seen any documents in the previous years that say if a new municipal building was added, is it in the wording that would also be automatically roped in, or is it vague and not obvious.
And you think about the middle school?
Yeah, I'm just saying, we build a new building, whether it's for safety or the middle school or something, which is coming in the next 3 years or something.
Well,
Have you seen it?
okay, okay. Some franchises I've seen actually say if no new building is built, then this is what the company has to do
Okay.
during the term of life.
So
of
we
the
could check.
franchise. In some cases, then it's silent. There's no language at all. Honestly, I cannot remember specifically what's in the Concord license agreement right now, but
We should check.
you should
because-
check.
It's necessary
Yeah.
because we're having a new middle school being built that will probably be operational shortly after the agreement is finalized.
So again, that's something that we need to think about on a going forward basis for the focus groups. If you guys want to make sure, the city wants to make sure that any new municipal or school building that's built during the term of any new license agreement
The next
has those the next 10 years has that in it, then that needs to come up during the focus group meetings. Okay, that's exactly the kind of thing that needs to come up. But I will obviously be looking at what's in the existing license as we do the compliance review.
So what you kind of outlined, just for that line, and your schedule starts June 9th.
Let's see what's here. I'll have it on the schedule.
Number 23, I don't see it prior to that.
Item 23, yes. That's the plan. Well, I'm gonna analyze the information by then. I'm gonna be gathering it before that. So
Okay,
that's analyze information, gather it, and prepare
Yeah,
compliance.
she doesn't have the compliance component.
I haven't got that done yet, and I will be,
There's a little reference to it in number 20. That's
but I'll update this work plan a little bit to pull that in a little bit more, because as you can begin to see just what we've done earlier today. It's nice to have it here, it becomes a checklist of the to-dos and the rough time frames and stuff, so I'll pull that in there. But I would hope that by the time we're done with the online survey, I will have gathered all that information, do the due diligence around the table and so forth. I'll have all that together. So then we start to analyze and we start to create the draft reports.
because I would think the select board would perk up their ears to get the compliance,
Yeah.
you know,
Because that's also kind of when we need to get the town council involved too. The negotiations, have we talked, and this is to Jason and to Terry, at what point do we get our town council involved in this?
I think we had a draft contract that we're happy with before, because, yes, let's see.
What I would suggest, based on my experience, is that once we have the needs assessment report done and the compliance report done, that we can, out of those, you're going to have key findings and key recommendations. Those key recommendations then drive language, at least with regard to key deliverables and any new agreement. There's some legalese stuff that's going to have to get dealt with. It's sort of independent of the key recommendations. So I think you need to figure that out before you ever sit down with Comcast, okay? It just,
Figure which out, the legalese or the key recommendations.
I would say, well,
Or both.
both.
Okay.
In the perfect world, okay, and I don't know how much detail I should get into here. There are several different approaches to commencing negotiations, okay. One approach is you take your existing franchise license agreement and you redline it. And you change it and you make it the way you just keep some stuff, throw some stuff away based on the needs assessment, whatever. Another approach is we start everything brand new, okay. I'm not telling you which way to do it. I'm just telling you those are two approaches to take. Okay. And I'll be very direct with you about what I already know. Comcast will come to you with their standard agreement that they want you to sign. Okay. So the issue will then become whose paper do you work off of once you start to negotiate? And again, that's just something to be prepared for. Whoever's going to be doing the negotiations needs to be ready for that. And I guess what I found is you can get all tangled up in whose paper you're going to work off of.
Right.
Okay. However, the newer version of the Comcast standard agreement I see typically drops a lot of things that have been in agreements for a while. Okay. And in some cases, that's okay. Things change, that can change. Okay. But in other cases, not so much. So from a internal perspective, the city is going to have to decide how it wants to proceed. Town. I'm really sorry, I guess city on the radio. The town has to determine how it wants to proceed with regard to that whole strategic approach to what they do when they sit down with the company.
But not before we get the needs assessment.
Can I ask about that? You said whoever is going to be the negotiator. I thought the Busby group was doing the negotiations.
Give me a combination.
Combination of who?
Well, the select board is going to be the ultimately responsible for
Right.
setting the agreement.
Right.
So what I've seen is that you have a select board member, you have the county council, and you have the consultants working together as a team.
Okay.
So,
So, with town manager and Harlan, and we should figure out then, how she wants to contact legal counsel, and we should
Yeah.
get started talking about
Yeah, the town manager is the gatekeeper for any contact. Do that.
And that would be a very good idea to get that. I mean, it's not today, but soon, in the
maybe
next
that's
couple
be on
months.
and with that bond, or we could, I could send an email now, or you guys can take Perry, with
It wouldn't happen before August 1st, would it?
No.
Oh, okay, that's.
So
We're out of ways, so, but I think it would be a good idea to have that discussion.
Yeah.
So that gets all figured out. Another piece of this, just simply as an FYI, is that I'm working with with the town of Carlisle. And we're in negotiations with Comcast. We have been for some time now. So given particularly the partnership with regard to the community programming piece, it's important that in certain arenas, we are working in tandem. Okay, I'll use that language.
Yeah, I'd like to say you get 2 HD channels for Carlisle, but not for Concord. I would really like to see how that would happen.
Well, and here's the tricky part. I mean, I think I brought this up before. The franchise for the town of Carlisle and the franchise for the town of Concord each say 3 channels. Is that 3 channels or 6 channels? Because there's nothing in the document that says they're shared. If everybody's fine with a collaboration, it makes sense, then that's something that needs to be thought about. But I'm just bringing this up because it's one of the first things that leaked off the page for me when I started my work in Carlisle, was 3 and 3 is 6, not 3 and 3 is 3.
At least it's negotiating, right?
Well, yeah, and everybody's assumed it's 3, not 6, but that's an assumption. That's not language, it's actually in the legal documents.
Right.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with it being, and you see, I'm not saying it's wrong to be 3. I'm just saying whatever goes on the documents needs to be precise. It needs to say what it is. And if there and there's already agreement between the 2 towns about doing this, about working together. Okay, so then I'll stop. But the point made.
It's a point to be discussed further later on.
Right.
Okay.
It's just.
It's almost 4:30. I want to get on the other couple things on the
Okay.
agenda. So why don't you finish up whatever?
I think I'm done. I taken too much of your time today.
I really appreciate you being here in person. That's the glorious thing about the process.
One question on the cable TV drops. For everybody's clarification, putting in mind. That is cable for cable TV, correct? It
That
is
is-
not for internet service.
That is exactly correct. Yes, it is
And-
cable service only.
And it's typically a single. A major drop into the building, but then a whatever was negotiated as one. Spot within the building, not every single school classroom having a drop. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the other thing on this one, that is correct, is do you even need to use it? We've had a lot of places that said we didn't really use them.
Right.
So, yeah, so why is this a requirement? Let's get something else we made that be more useful to the town.
I mean, I would be surprised if the middle school building committee knows about that requirement.
Probably not. They've been occupied with other.
And I would be curious to walk through one of our elementary schools. See if it's.
Yes, that's why I'd like to see the compliance table soon.
Okay, I will After February 20.
I know.
Problems, okay.
So I really appreciate you coming here and joining and giving us this update. If there's more stuff, by all means, give me a shout and thank you very much for this.
On the other hand, is it a benefit for Comcast in terms of providing internet service?
But do they provide it to the schools? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Hmm.
That's the building.
They may have another provider.
Well,
No?
They do, they have a little,
That's what I thought.
and they have Comcast as well.
yes,
There's lots of them.
yes.
Yeah.
But I've been told that Comcast won't provide internet as part of the franchise agreement, they'll provide cable TV services.
Oh, that's exactly correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we could negotiate to get free Comcast internet.
No,
Right. I think there is FCC cases and documentation about those being used for internet service, just because they have a cable in there. If they don't have a cable in there, they can't use it for internet services, then even if the school wanted Comcast to provide service, they'd have
Well-
to string some additional cases.
There would, no, they would
Okay.
use the same line. They would simply have a separate contractual relationship with the school district, with regard to that matter. It all runs on the same line, unless the town happens to have a separate institutional network. And most places don't have, they had them in the older franchises, but they don't have them in the newer franchises now. Those really are separate agreements, side agreements, contractual relationships.
Those are the INETs you're talking about.
Yeah, that stuff.
And that's what Acton is doing right now. They have a separate agreement, and the Acton agreement just approved in December this last year. They have a separate agreement for that. It's not considered as part of the franchise agreement. Okay, let's move over to the next agenda item. Amendments, project, Jason, Mark, whoever.
I'll start and then Mark, we can talk about something. First, I want to just mention the town meeting that we had in January. And thank Mark and the entire and the crew for all their help at the town meeting. It was a huge effort to get production going and, help from the schools and facilities and numerous town departments and town manager's office. Just a lot of coordination was that we thought overall went really well, the production of that. We had a lot of help from our videographers and our new producers and Mark. So I want to thank everybody for that. It went really well. Just in general, I want to mention before weather tomorrow, I'm preparing for the operational. We had some meeting before this to talk about what I was doing. And we're going to be putting out some more decisions. Brian to do that now.
they already have.
Yeah. So that's good. I wanted to mention we have the lake board meeting next Wednesday. I'll be giving an update there, like I do every month, but 10 to 15 minutes on the agenda to give an update on the broadband completion task force. We've been in constant communication with Mark Howell and others to talk about the goals that were laid out in the task force's final report. And we wanted to kind of provide an update to the town to let people know what we've been doing to continue those efforts so that they know how much work we can put into that.
So
So
when is this meeting going to be?
it's the 8th.
Is it the light board meeting?
It is the
Light board.
And the light board's been meeting twice a month, the last few months, and, I'd say it's starting in December. And, they'll be meeting twice a month through March at least, trying to come up with a new kind of use rate that would be used, the system that goes. We just have to do business that we've been trying to, get more done and keep their regular agendas for the first meeting of the month and then focus on the rates for the second meeting. Other than that, Mark has done some great work at the studio to kind of shuffle some things around. So what you briefly talk about what you've been doing over there.
I'll do this automated moving of the camera. Yeah. So we had a building that was designed a while ago for pre-COVID kind of work that was an area for training, an area for people to do editing, some quiet spots, kind of the business leader person, and then a studio with a control room. So it was all designed on paper, put in play, everything was great. I think COVID showed up and we tried to mitigate kind of the contact. We kind of destroyed the training area in order to make it separate, and we've lost even the option of having anyone come in for training, because we really didn't have a training area anymore. So this past week, I've got scars on my hands that will eventually heal over. But we've put the training area back in play, and we move people around to be a little bit more concentrated for their work that they do. So we now have Tori, with her background for teaching, what she does in other schools, she's now kind of in charge of that whole area. It's all the older computers, which will eventually get changed, but those are back in play. And we really are thinking that we ought to advertise a little bit more. We couldn't do it in the past 2 years because nobody would have come anyways. But now we can really talk about many different levels of training. And we've got 2 new shows that are being built right now. Possibility for some producers in town. One of them, we're redesigning the studio to have over the shoulder kind of 5 people in one area and an interviewer in one. So kind of a CNN kind of nightly news kind of thing there. So we're getting slowly back into having more produced products in the studio. I've heard a rumor from the schools, high schools, what is he? I don't know if they're assistant principals or they're principals. I don't know what they are, but one of the questions was asked, hey, what can we do with Minuteman? So that's good that it's coming from that way. I've been poking the other way, and I think we've already talked to Lori about things, and she's like, yeah, we can figure that out. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but having the door open, having us have an area where kids can come in and not only learn editing, but technical switching, which is what we do during town meetings, it is another avenue of uniqueness that we provide. School already has a lot of cameras. They do a lot of film work and things like that, but we can do live switching. We can do news media. We can do other things within our area. So I'm just excited that we can have it and then hopefully get some people to come in and use it.
So I just thought of 2 other things, maybe mention the upgrades in Carlisle and also the Wrigley building.
All right, so next week I'll be in Carlisle pretty much every day for the install of about $50,000 worth of new equipment. We threw everything out in that room that you had documented, unfortunately. So all of your pictures I took are all irrelevant now. But we're installing, most systems, the cameras are the same, the microphones are the same. Those weren't the problem. It was the rest of the systems. So there'll be monitors on all the walls. There'll be a switching system that is now portable, so they can move it within town. There'll be 2 cameras, 2 tripods, and some cabling that allows them to have their own setup that's physically in Carlisle, whether they want to check it out, whether they want us to kind of go over there once a week and be available, whatever. So we're working on that. And then the school committee room over at Ripley it's about 80% done. There's a few more pieces we're waiting for, but has been cobbled back together again. That was purchased by the school and never used. It's been sitting there for years. So I went in, I recommended throw everything out and replace everything with this kind of stuff, and through an agreement between the town and the school. We're almost done with that. I think I got one more day over there, and then it's going to be a system that's exactly the same as Carlisle. It's exactly the same as the school committee, so people can go to one and understand the other. And then that's the kind of system that we want to continue to do the upgrades for here too, so that training of someone doesn't have to be that difficult for each individual site, which it's been. We brought everything for years for some of these places. Now we'll be able to just walk in, turn some things on, place some microphones maybe, or whatever. So that's I haven't been doing much.
Yeah, really. Oh, that's great.
That's
Yeah.
So
Have you had any time either of you to identify some capital needs that students can negotiate with Comcast
Yeah, we have a list that is part of our 5-year plan, and we also have some other equipment that we certainly have.
Yeah, because last time we talked, it was a really small, like, you know what I'm saying? Make it as big as, you know, it's so big.
It's much bigger, but I'm sure we can come up with.
Yeah.
I don't know what's realistic.
Let me ask one question. The capital portion, is that the part that Comcast essentially advances and is paid by the subscribers? As part of the franchise fee on the
It
cable?
always,
Okay, so cable subscribers are actually paid for the capital portion that we
but
negotiate.
they also pay for the franchise fees and you get right down to it.
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, so, one of the things we'll do when we come in May is we will be doing a, more detailed on-site visit, okay, with the M&N operation and the various places within the town where there's equipment. Then we will create, and we'll get your input, a 10-year, equipment replacement plan, which will be part of the needs assessment report. So it'll anticipate, what's needed now, what needs to be replaced in year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That number then typically becomes the number that you aim when you go to the negotiating table. You have documentation. This is what we need. Here's a 10-year spreadsheet, and that's all be in the report. So I'll need to get this from y'all as we go, but that'll happen. One of the things we do when we come on site in May to do the focus groups
In May.
will be to do that as well. And it will be my partner Randy who'll be doing most of that.
And another question about the franchise fee, does that pay for Mark's, for your salary when you're, so if you're working at Carlisle, does the Carlisle franchise fee pay? And what if you're working for the high school, do they split it and? you know?
High school, not so much, but Carlisle, we'll send them a bill, at least.
They're
quarterly.
accustomed.
So they're a customer, the way that it's been negotiated, yeah, so there's a specialized agreement. So we charge them per hour per person, that's,
And how does the high school work?
I have no idea. Charity,
Okay, maybe you could find out, I'm just curious.
we don't charge them, but the equipment in that place was bought by the school, so it's an awkward place, when you want to see the
Yeah.
equipment that we use. Some of it isn't ours, and part of it we're paying for because we negotiated, they negotiated, I guess, and we lost. No,
It's really confusing because we've got all these different cost centers, right? We've got a Carlisle town budget, we've got a high school budget, we've got a Concord town budget, then we got the franchise fees. I guess I'm trying to understand, not now, but somehow, how it's fit together.
Who's paying Mark to rotate the?
Exactly.
and
Well, the budget is one item that you have not mentioned. This is the budget for the enterprise hearing that's coming up March. Whenever it's going to be, March 15th. It's going to make, when will we see the draft budget? Will it be at the hearing? I'm hoping you'll.
That's the good question. So we have a meeting on that, but I don't, usually what happens is there's a draft budget, there's a meeting, there's a revised budget, and then there's another discussion, and then it gets kind of distributed, as a formal draft. So I haven't heard back from the group, which was Terry, Gail, John, Brandon.
Right.
That kind of go over that. So soon, I would imagine.
Could we kind of think about it, doing it at our next PEG access meeting,
Oh,
or just March 4th? March
No,
2nd?
For sure.
Okay, is
But
that,
it doesn't typically address the 29 cents.
no, it's a different budget.
That's
This is just the enterprise and pay off and stuff. But it doesn't have a piece of it, which is.
Yeah.
But it's the operating component of it.
Yeah, I think we should look at that at some point, because I'm concerned that nobody knows, there's so many moving parts, and there's no one way.
Well, in past years, we've seen a draft of the budget at the February meeting. And then we actually look at a revised budget at the March meeting, and the committee takes a vote to endorse that at the enterprise hearing, and then I go to the enterprise saying, yes, the committee said we support this.
Okay.
And that's why it gets on the consent calendar, because there's already been somebody who's done the
Exactly.
look through. So
Right.
I can send it as soon as I get it back from them. So-
Please.
Yeah, so
Please.
you guys have a chance to look at.
I'll put it as part of the March agenda as well. Okay, good, thank you very much.
On the capital equipment, there's some, I think Kate used to work off of some, standard town schedule for the purchase of capital equipment. I think it struck me as being a little bit long for computer equipment. I wonder if you had a chance to look at that.
Yeah, so I mean, typically for end user computers, we say 3 years, and then for servers, it depends on the application of 5 to 7. So, you know, how long have we had television? Do you remember? It's now,
12,
yeah. So
something.
sometimes it really is a longer time, but we're hoping that our new replacement schedule is more in line with what enterprise.
But it's in line with the computers that we had 12 years use. So it's okay.
Yes.
Well, I know the stuff that's left over from, 2017, basically, and I wonder if everything is written off, but.
Yeah, we have a file right now.
Yeah, another file. This is the third, that's the other thing I did too. And you don't need the whole details, but yeah, this is the third purge that I've done since I got there. And this is finally I don't know, the rest of the stuff that needed to get out so we can really start looking at the stuff that makes studios work today.
Yeah.
We're not using coaxial cables and S video, this and that and all kinds of stuff.
You're going to HDMI?
Yeah. Ugh. Well, we finally threw out a couple of Radio Shack branded things too, that are in the back.
Okay.
Yes, all right.
Does anybody else? I think we're about done with the broadband updates and that's fair. All right, let's move on to all of these. The next thing I want to talk about is the next committee meetings for
Yeah.
March, April, May.
Yes.
Now I'm looking at calendars. On the agenda is March 3rd. I have no idea why. That's a
I have a
Friday.
conflict.
You had a conflict. I'm
Sustainability, everyone, it's like Thursday of every.
okay, so that's when it really is March 3rd. Okay.
I just double checked that.
That's fine.
That could change, but.
No, that's fine. March 3rd is fine. At 3:30 to 5, is that still okay?
That's not.
It's fine with me. Vince, what about you?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
That's
so
the Friday, right?
that's a
Correct.
Friday.
Okay.
3:30 to 5. That would be here and by hybrid unless something else happens, but I'll reserve the room with Sharon.
Okay.
April 6th, that's a Thursday, that's 3:35, that's in the weekend, yeah.
Yep.
That's,
I will be here, but that's when.
you'll miss you desperately.
I get done at 4:30.
And then the last one is May 4th, that's also a Thursday. And that's 3:35, but that'll be the meeting just before the focus groups.
And then after that,
After that, what do you want to do?
well, just to complete our work. What do you feel like?
We should probably have at least a June meeting set up.
Right.
Okay, so the first Thursday in June is June 1. The second one is June 8. Committee members, do you have a preference? Cynthia?
Not this time.
How about the first? Ben, so you okay with that?
That's fine.
Cynthia?
Sure.
So that'll be June 1 for the PAC meeting. Now, Sue, you're welcome to come to any of these. I'm not sure when you need to come. You let me know which one of
Yeah.
these you want to go to. Okay.
We'll coordinate.
Okay, but we've got meetings. Do we need to go any further than June? Cynthia?
I think we'll know better in April.
Okay,
Right?
all right. All right, sounds good. We have no minutes. I have no other chair updates. Are there any liaison or public comment? Liaisons first from Terry or Cynthia? Anything else you discuss? Okay. Okay, let's go to public comments online. I've got Christina and Nancy on online. Do either of you ladies have anything to add?
Nothing
Nancy?
from me. Nothing from me.
Okay. Christina,
Nothing
what
for me.
about?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
The only thing is I would be more than willing to help with the local, like a giveaway for like the 3 different things, maybe with like some local Concord Market or Bedford Farms, like 3 local places. I'd be more than happy to try to see what I could get from them.
Okay. Great, you'll be working with Jason and Donna on that. Jason Bolger, Donna McIntosh. Thank you very much, Christine, appreciate it. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm good.
As our liaison to the Council on Aging, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Okay, any last minute comments before we adjourn? For anybody? All right, seeing none, we've done everything else. Thank you all for coming. We are adjourned.